When it comes to building up bigger back and biceps, vertical pulling movements like pull-ups get the lion's share of attention, and they are great. But one of my all-time favorites is the single arm row. The problem is the single arm row can be kind of awkward, relatively uncomfortable, and difficult to manage to adequately work the muscles hard enough. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top tips on how to get introduced to single arm rows and how you can get the most out of this fantastic back and biceps exercise. Now, like all strength exercises, our foundation for more strength and muscle is always rooted in our stability. And for rowing exercises, a lot of our stability comes from our hips and in our posterior chain. And that's why I'm a big fan of table bridges, where we essentially sit on the floor, drive our shoulders down and back, and then we drive our hips up with our glutes and our hamstrings. It's a good shoulder mobility exercise, but it's a good way also for developing that glute and hamstring activation so that we're supporting ourselves with our legs instead of our lower back. It's even more effective if you have cross leg or single leg variations where you are stabilizing your hips with one leg. Now, when we're setting up for the single arm row, I usually recommend starting on the floor in a seated position with either gymnastics rings or a bar roughly about your waist height. Going a little higher is going to make this a little bit easier. And before we even try to do our row, we're going to place a lot of weight and downward force into the foot that's the opposite of your rowing arm, because force travels through the body in a diagonal fashion or contralaterally. So I'm applying the same force into my left foot as if I was still doing those single leg table bridges, lifting my hips up, and my hand is relatively close to my center line. It's not way off to the side here, and I'm packing my shoulder really tight down and low. So there's very little weight on my right leg. From here, I just keep my other hand close in, and I pull in an upward fashion, trying to drive my hand fairly low on my torso. If I pull up too high, it gets really awkward, and I'm no longer packing the shoulder down, which is going to compromise a lot of your upper body stability. So that pulling relatively low is going to maximize the stability in your upper body rather than pulling up high. And of course, you're going to naturally feel the desire to twist a lot, which is acceptable. It's not a bad thing, but do your best to try to keep yourself relatively level and square to the ground. And that involves, again, more stability in your opposing leg and in your shoulder blade. And lastly, the two best ways to progress the single arm row, other than adding weight, because you can always hold something in your non-rowing arm, is to either extend your legs out or bring them closer together, or a combination of the two, which is going to require a lot more strength and stability as a whole in that pulling arm. I left the single arm row micro workout for you down below in the description, and here's more of my favorite exercises to work your back and biceps, aka your pull chain. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that if you found this very helpful, and thank you very much for watching. Be fit and live free.